What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Bow Locker. So over the last month or so, I've gotten a lot of questions since the launch of the ACU Archery S.O.S Hunter Elite. Everybody's been asking me what I thought about it, and those of you who know me know that I don't give my thoughts on anything until I've shot it pretty thoroughly. So I went ahead and I bought one. And again, we're going to be specifically talking about the S.O.S Hunter Elite. I'm not talking about the Target one. But I bought one and I've shot this on my bow for probably the last month. So I feel like now at this point I have a pretty good idea of what to say about it. So what this is this is essentially a stabilizer that counteracts any of your jittery movements at full draw. Now, I will say this, it's not going to completely stop all pin movement whatsoever, but it is going to help. And the way this works is you have these wires that are attached to a weight, and essentially as your front hand moves, these weights move around and they counteract that movement. Now you can set this up for two different axes. The way that these wires are is there's a weaker axis and a stronger axis, and essentially whether you're having more movement up or down or left and right, you set it specific to that axis. Okay, so now let's talk about my thoughts to this. So how I shoot and how I aim, I'm not typically a very jittery aimer. My pin float is kind of long and slow and just kind of floating. So when I initially started testing this, I wasn't noticing too much of a difference. But again, that's because my style of shooting and how I shoot, I'm not overly jittery with my pin. I'm just kind of low and slow. But, so what I did to kind of get that same jittery effect was I drank a whole bunch of coffee on an empty stomach and I went out and shot my bow. And I shot it with this thing on and I still felt pretty dang steady. So then when I pulled this thing off, then I was like, holy crap, my pin is kind of jittering and bouncing all over the place. So if you are a person that when you're aiming, you notice that pin is kind of shaking like this, it will absolutely clean up that jitter, right? And get it to where that pin movement is just kind of steady and slowed down and moving all over. So if you're that kind of person, I do think that this is worth it and it's going to help for you. Now, if you're more like me and you really don't have too much of that jitter or that shake, you just have a long, slow float, well then this is more or less just going to be more weight added to your bow. And you can kind of choose whether you think that this is worth doing it or if you want to just put more weight on the stabilizers in certain places. So again, I shot this for about 3-4 weeks. My census is that if you're a person with a jittery pin, this is absolutely going to help you. I think it's worth the investment. I think it's like $175 or something along those lines, if I remember correctly. If you're a person who doesn't really have too much jitter, then you're probably better off just spending a little bit more time with your stabilizer weights and going from there. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope it answers any questions you guys had about the ACU Archery S.O.S Hunter Elite. Again, this is about the hunting one. I did not test the target one. So thanks for tuning in, guys.